The Prime Minister of Iraq announced earlier today that the intelligence component of his government had uncovered a plot to allegedly attack U.S. and French subway systems. We've got some information about how that was supposed to go down. It's from Haider al-Abadi, as I said, the Prime Minister of Iraq. Today, while I'm here, I'm receiving accurate reports from Baghdad that there were arrests of a few elements and there were networks from inside Iraq to have attacks on metros of Paris and U.S. They are not Iraqis. Some of them are French, some of them are Americans, but they are in Iraq. So very few details coming out so far of the alleged plot. They said they've arrested some people. When asked if they had actually, if they had stopped the plot, he said no. He didn't seem incredibly sure about whether or not it was imminent either.
And he for said many that of us, it was not imminent.
But apparently at another point in the interview he had said that it was imminent. And that's how it's being pitched.
Easy for the president of Iraq to say a subway attack in New York or Paris is not imminent. It's like, I don't know, I'm not there, I don't care. Although, ironically, he is in New York.
Yeah, now, at that time when he gave this statement. Now, of course, many of us here who are watching the initial stages of our campaign against ISIS moving from Iraq into Syria are naturally suspicious about anything that seems to justify the military action, anything about alleged plots that are imminent that would justify the attack. We are suspicious about them. And so, of course, in response to this, we're wondering, is the U.S. going to confirm this, perhaps use this to ramp up the attacks? At this point, it doesn't seem to be the case. National Security Council spokeswoman Caitlin Hayden said, "We have not confirmed such a plot and would have to review any information from our Iraqi partners before making further determinations. We take any threats seriously and always work to corroborate information we receive from our partners." A statement was also put out by the NYPD saying, "We are aware of the Iraqi Prime Minister's statements and we are in close contact with the FBI and other federal partners as we assess this particular threat stream. New York City normally operates at a heightened level of security and we adjust that posture daily based on our evaluation of information as we receive it."
Real quick, just a few minutes ago, Bill de Blasio, the mayor of New York, I have a simple message, he said, for New Yorkers. There is no immediate credible threat to our subway system. I say that with confidence. People should go about their business as they normally would. And also the State Department saying we don't have anything to back it up at this point. We'll keep looking at it. So this is why this is another example, just again, this is a theme I've been hitting this week. I hit it yesterday on Old School. Jimmy and I had a spirited conversation, Jimmy Dore and I. There is a difference. For all the similarities, annoying as they are, frustrating as they are, the fact that there are no progressives anywhere making decisions, but there is a difference. And it is inconceivable to me that John Ashcroft and that ilk would not have been like, "Terror level 5, we're at 5, we're at 5.
We're going to purple."
They wouldn't care. They'd be like, "Hey, he said it, he must know, he's there, he's right." He got a call from King Baghdad, called him on the phone. Got a call from Baghdad, this is serious. And everybody here is like, hey, I don't know, this doesn't sound right. This sounds like the Iraqi Prime Minister trying to sound important. It may well be serious, but right now we don't know, and it's okay to wait a day and find out if it is serious.
This is a rare case where you don't see an overreaction by U.S. officials to this type of news, especially given how desperately they want the narrative to make it seem as though we are facing an imminent threat, right? I mean, that's the reason why we're doing these airstrikes, isn't it? I mean, they don't say it outright, but they imply that we're in some sort of danger, and that's the reason why we have to launch these airstrikes. But it's interesting that they're not using what the Prime Minister of Iraq has said here for their own narrative. And, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. But nonetheless, we continue on with the airstrikes.
Because I don't think, because I think they think, because there's a possibility that progressives need to be aware of that they really want the airstrikes to be limited and give it time to build up people there to fight them back and do damage of them, to slow them down, to allow a coalition to build and to give people an alternative. Because right now, I mean, the overwhelming, the cacophony of we don't know what he's talking about is overwhelming, just from what John read. And then I mentioned the mayor and the State Department. The FBI Director, James Comey, says, he haven't heard of the plot. He's the director of the FBI. We now, then one senior administration official saying that no one in the U.S. government is aware of such a plot, and it was not raised with us at our meeting with Iraqi officials. Do we know what the Iraqi Prime Minister is talking about, said the official? No.
Yeah, now, if they had talked about the plot on an American phone or an American email, they would certainly know about it at this point, but they don't have as much information about what's going on in Iraq. So back to the airstrikes really fast. At this point, I don't know exactly what to think in response to them. It does seem like this would have been something that the American government would have jumped on. I mean, they talked about Khorasan. They were going to attack us imminently. That group now seems like it's been at least thoroughly disrupted. The leader might have been killed. I haven't seen an update on that. And so it seems like they would jump on this. And so my initial instinct was to think that the Iraqi prime minister was trying to lay the foundation for an expansion of the conflict. And yet his government has come out multiple times and said he does not want the U.S. to re-engage in Iraq. He wants to take control of that situation. And so it's a confusing situation. It might be that they've just received misinformation and he was passing it on. It certainly seems plausible. ISIS has made clear that their two principal international enemies at this point are the US and France. They've used quite derogatory language about the French in the recent past. And so I'm watching the airstrikes as well. And whenever you talk about airstrikes, and someone on the right in particular wants to take this to beyond airstrikes, into a ground invasion, they'll always say airstrikes are known to have never been successful in taking out a group like this. But we do have to remember the possibility that this group is not like other groups. This is not just a terrorist organization that's holed up in one apartment and that can easily move in response to the airstrikes. This is a quasi-governmental organization that is trying to take and hold territory. They're trying to set up police stations and government buildings and things like that. And so there is at least the possibility that airstrikes will be more successful against ISIS than against other more traditional terrorist organizations.